Okay, welcome everybody. I'm going to get started. And per usual, I'll be recording our sales meeting this evening and sending out everything to all the agents via recap email along with any collateral that we share. But this evening, we have on tap for you guys, we have Jonathan Gooden from Move Concierge. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. Some of you guys, he can explain a little bit more how they've rebranded from Utility Concierge, and Rachel Oslin from Lodestar. So, kind of without further ado, I am going to get started and turn it over first to Jonathan. Welcome, Jonathan.
Well, thanks for having me, and I won't take up too much of the time here, especially since there's not a huge presence on.
Yeah.
But if there's any questions, you guys can always reach out to me. I'm going to just share my screen here, just go through a quick slide deck that I prepared. So, can you see this?
Yes.
Awesome. So with Move Concierge, so we just rebranded on April 22nd from Utility Concierge to Move Concierge. The name just best encompasses everything that we help the client out with. Okay, especially in a state like Maryland where utilities mostly are regulated, where there's only going to be one provider per household for electricity, water, and gas. But we still get the client to the finish line or closest possible to the finish line that we can, as far as helping them do the research, as well as let them know step by step what they'll need to do to make sure those services are set up. Okay. But just to jump into it, we help out with electricity, internet, video, home security, home warranty. Well, for you guys, you have a different plan with that, but we help out with moving services, pest control, change of address. We have insurance, home insurance referrals, and things of that nature as well. So we've been around since about 2009 from our owner, Gabe Apshire. We do value ourselves in being the one-stop shop for the client's needs, just so that when they do reach out to us, all the research that they're going to do within a span of 2 to 3 weeks before closing, we help them take care of most of that in 15 to 30 minutes for just one phone call. Okay. So just imagine what that does for your client, and imagine the stress that they're under during this process of not knowing where to go for this, knowing where to go for that, trying to make sure that they have the best pricing and all, making sure that they're making one of the biggest investments of their life, making sure that they're not spending extra money everywhere else as well. That's where the benefit of that concierge comes into play. So with these services that we help out with, we do work with most major service providers. So we do leverage a choice model for your client. We're able to offer them those side-by-side price comparisons for their services to make sure that they are getting the best deal on the market. Um, this service is completely free to them as well. So for you guys as agents, as well as for your clients, there's not going to be any built-in or hidden fees that they're going to have to worry about. They don't pay anything to us. They pay everything to the provider. Okay. So just as the same as if they were to go online or call in and set it up themselves, they're just letting the concierge do it for them. Okay. So with JPAR, we've been partnering with JPAR since about 2015, helping over 30,000 home buyers in this process as well. So we've had quite a bit of a relationship with JPAR itself. So at the end of the day, what's in it for your clients? We save them time, just like I mentioned earlier. They're going to spend all these hours researching services and trying to transfer and set up things, or they can just take care of it on a phone call with our concierge. Okay, we're going to save them money. They do get the best rates on the market. We can assure that by saying if they do find any other promotional rates out there that our concierge wasn't privy to or wasn't able to access for them, we do price match as well to make sure that we can get them that lowest rate on the market, okay, for their services. And just like I mentioned earlier, think about what your clients are going through right now as they're communicating with you, the stress that they're going through, making sure that they are going to be able to close on this house, making sure that they are getting everything taken care of the way they need to, so they don't step into a house that doesn't have electricity, right? So we take care of most of that stress of helping them get those services taken care of. What's in it for you as individual agents? You do get $150 every time one of your clients gets a security system installed. So that's one perk from you where you can earn some extra money. But also, we keep you involved in the process. This is very much so a white glove service. It's very consultative. We're not going to reach out to your client on a sales call saying, "Hey, this is what you should get and this is why you should get it." Right? It's more finding that client's needs and wants of saying, "Hey, what are you using at your current house? Okay, do you like this service, or what do you think about this, or what do you think about that?" In order to figure out what they actually want and need for the house, so that in turn the concierge can present the correct options for them and let them know the prices so that they can choose their best or what best fits them and their family. Okay. But also at the end of the day, you look good to your clients. This is real estate, just as our business as well. It's referral based business. So the idea is that referral will keeps churning, right? So this is a service that's offered by, Greg at JPAR Real Estate Maryland Living, not by Jonathan at Move Concierge. Okay. Greg is the one that got this call set up for you to where this is going to be taken care of for you, right? So you guys look that much better. So as far as referring clients over, we're directly routed into your dot loop. So once you click that, or once you change that loop status to under contract, that client information being their name, address, phone number, email address, closing address, and closing date will all get sent over to us that same day. We'll receive it the next day when our system pulls the report. We'll reach out to that client 2 to 3 weeks. Let me not get ahead of myself. Just make sure this is all the information that we'll get from the client. We'll reach out to that client 2 to 3 weeks before closing to make sure that we're reaching out to them in an adequate amount of time where we can actually schedule the technician visits for them, making sure that we have everything set to get installed for them. Okay. Just like I mentioned earlier, it's very consultative. Your client will make the selection on the services that they want to get, and our concierge will make the connection for them. Okay. So they're not chasing around technicians 2 to 3 days, making sure they're going to arrive on time. They're not worried about getting a blanket time frame, right? We get to narrow that down some and saying, hey, instead of you having this 5 hour time frame, you might have a 2 hour time frame. They're going to be there from 2 to 4, right? Instead of you having to take off half a day of work from 12 to 5 to make sure that you're there at some point during that day. Okay. Now, tips for success, best practices that we've seen to make sure that this works effectively. For one, utilize your client support page or your partner support page. This is the link to that page here. You guys will be able to go in there and grab client flyers, email templates to your clients, introducing us to them. There's a client intro video in there as well that they can look at to see everything that we're going to help them out with, as well as you can look at frequently asked questions. Your clients are going to ask you questions. Wait, hey, what's the service cost? It's a free service. Oh, wait, nothing is free in life. How is it free? Well, we get paid by the providers. All of that information is in the frequently asked questions for you as well. Okay. So utilize your partner support page, and be sure before you change that loop status to under contract that all of the buyer's information is correct into dot loop. Okay. So name, email address, phone number, closing address, closing date. There's going to be an email that gets sent out to the client automatically when they get assigned to a concierge. It's just going to be letting them know what we can help them out with, as well as letting them know that the concierge will be reaching out that day. Okay. Well, if there's no phone number in dot loop and we only have an email, then that client's going to be expecting a call, and we can't call them after that email has already been sent. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're setting the correct expectations and we're all in the same playing field. Okay. So definitely make sure that all that information is correct, and utilize your client flyers. Add these into your buyer consultations, into your listing presentations, as well as into your closing packets, right? So the more that you tell the client about this service, the more that they're going to be apt to using the service and to accept that phone call. Yeah, as you probably know, they're going to be spammed with phone calls during this process, during the closing. Most of them people that they don't even need to talk to, right? We don't want to get bundled up into that group of calls, right? So the more that you tell your client, hey, I have a concierge service that's going to help you out with all that stuff, don't worry about it, right? That's a part of that making you look best to them, right? This is what sets you apart from all those other realtors in the market that they can just easily go to as well, right? This is what sets you apart with everything going on with the NAR settlement right now. Why should they work with you? Well, this is one of those value adds for you. So please be sure to use those those client flyers in your closing packets and all.
Hey,
All right.
Jonathan, can I ask you a quick question? Why?
Yes, sir.
Um, did you send me that, like the partner support info, or could you send me that information just so I have it again? You may have sent it already, but
I
like,
think I did, but I'll resend it to you, Greg. No problem.
okay. And then also, like most of our transactions, probably 60%, 70% of them utilize our in-house or our agents utilize our in-house transaction coordinator. Is there a way for our transaction coordinator to be included on that initial email too? Because she ends up like quarterbacking that process for the agents a little bit.
I can check into that. I'm not 100% positive, but just because it's an automated email. I
Got it.
can get her probably CC'd on emails after that first one
Okay.
on any correspondence, since I can just let the concierge know to reach out to the transaction coordinator.
Okay. Perfect.
Um, but we can work through that, and I can shoot you a call too to try to figure out some of those details.
Sounds good. Yeah, it would just probably make the process a little bit more seamless if she's involved or CC'd on them too. Yeah.
Hmm. Do the agents include their information, the client's information into Dot Loop, or is she doing that part?
A lot of times she'll do it for them.
Okay. If she's doing it for them under her own login through Dot Loop, then when the client comes over, it'll come over under her, so she'll automatically be CC'd.
Okay.
Normally the agent is CC'd on that email.
Okay.
So if it's
All right.
coming over from her as the agent technically, then she'll be CC'd at that point.
All right. I'll check on that and make
So,
sure.
and we can work through the finite details of that as well.
Okay.
Um, I did include some reviews in here. Just this is mostly our Texas reviews, just because Texas is our largest presence right now with JPAR. But overall with JPAR in its franchises as well, we have a 4.85 out of 5-star satisfaction rate right now. So we do JPAR agents or JPAR clients do love us. Well, agents too. But here's my contact information. This is my direct phone number as well as my email address. So if you guys ever need anything, feel free to shoot me a call. I'm always available, and if I'm not available, then I can get right back to you. Okay. I'm an over communicator, so if you have anything, please reach out.
Awesome. I'll make sure to include your contact info in the follow-up email to the agents with the recording. But yeah, definitely
Perfect.
appreciate it, Jonathan. And yeah, we look forward to kind of having like that, building our presence with Move Concierge and helping build out that value add to the client. So appreciate you.
Most definitely. And I'll shoot you that support page in an email
Okay.
as well. So it'll probably benefit them to add that link in there as well.
Yeah, yeah, and on that flyer too. We're building out, with everything going on. We're trying to build out the agents' buyer consultation, make it a little bit more robust. We'll make sure that we include that up in there.
Perfect. I'll definitely get that over to you then.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
No problem, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
Alrighty.
Great to meet you, Jonathan.
Great to meet you as well, Rachel.
You tried to leave.
I was turning it off.
Yeah.
You're like, I smell dinner, but no.
Well, look, and I'm an hour behind, so it's 4:50 here now. So
Where are
Nice.
you?
I'm in Dallas.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yep. Well, it's great to meet you as well, though.
Deal. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, now we'll tee up, and I appreciate you, Rachel. And I'm not sure. It looks like one of the agents had trouble with the link. I'm getting a text message, so I'm not sure in my absence if we had sent out the right one, but I know she was on, and everybody else seems to have gotten it. So, like I said, I'm going to send this recording out with all the information we know. How amazing you are to the industry! What a wealth of information you are from an inspection standpoint. So we're super privileged to have you on, and you can tell us a little bit more about another value add that Lodestar offers to the
Yes,
clients.
thank you very much. So, I mean, how long have you been a realtor?
22 years.
Wow.
Which
Okay.
is-
I'm at 18 and I feel like that's a long time.
Yeah.
But and I appreciate you having me. So thank you. So I've been an inspector for 18 years, and I was with another company and started Lodestar Inspection Services in 2018. And just a piece of advice for all of you, don't ever name a company Lodestar because people think it's Lone Star, and then they think we're in Texas, and they don't know how to spell it. So future naming rights, just so that you know that, don't use this. But a Lodestar is a light that guides you home, and that's what we want to be for your clients and for you, because you experience things that are similar and the same frequently, and then you experience things that are radically different from something else you've ever seen before. And me at 18 years still sees things. One of my inspectors just sent me a video of something I've never seen before, and right before this meeting, and I love it. I mean, like, that's one of the things that keeps things fresh, but it's interesting. So I'm always a resource for anybody. And I do get lots of funky texts from people. What is this? What do you think this is, with a picture? And how old is this water heater, with a picture of the data plate? So you're always welcome to send those. And you could see my phone number here, but Greg will get it to you. But I want to show you something. There's something unique about our inspections that we do that is, I'll share my screen and I'll show you, but we write very carefully in our reports so that you don't have to rewrite anything. And so that leads directly into this new service that we've started providing, but we write them very specifically, starting with a verb because it's an action. And so I'm gonna share this and show you. Here we go. Okay, so from our website, you can also, if you want to practice writing addendums, or if you want to see what you practice playing around with the home inspection report, you're welcome to go to our website and do this. You can't break it. So it's here. I'll just show you. These are all the services we offer. And the one that is the newest that I don't even have on here because I'm updating the website is advanced structural assessments. So if you've got a property that needs a structural review, or you've been recommended that you get a structural engineer in, then I am one of 4 in the state to be certified to do that. And so then your client will get an actual letter from stamped with the structural engineer's information. So
And that's very prescient for everybody that doesn't know. You know, one of our leading structural engineers, David Wallace, is recently retired. So it is great to have Rachel as a resource for that aspect of things.
yeah, thank you. And what makes it great is we do the home inspection already. Someone's already there. I can usually just come over and do it. And in most houses, it's $695, and houses over 4,000 square feet, then it goes up. But it's at most houses, it's $695, and we get that very quickly. So you don't have to wait for a structural engineer to come out, and you're not paying that fee. And you're getting everything from a structural engineer. So, but from our website, you go to sample report and you can play around with that as much as you want. I already have it open because I was scared like something would happen with the internet and it wouldn't open. But I just want to show you the way we write so that you can see how to do this. It always starts with a verb. So you can copy and paste or whatever. You don't have to actually figure out how to rewrite something. Engage. Engage who? Licensed plumber, licensed contractor, licensed electrician. To do what? Eliminate the leak under the kitchen sink. Replace rotted sections of exterior wood trim and jambs. Why? Or to do what? And then what and why is the end. So my mom was an English teacher. The power of words is all there.
Yes, I love it. I love because some of the things that we would get and then the reports, and it kind of makes it, realtor proof. It's right there for you, but there's clarity in being so succinct in what you're asking for. So I love that.
Thank you. And that's why, I mean, after all of these 18 years, I've volunteered 10,000 plus hours with realtor associations and realtist associations. And I have also done over 10,000 hours of inspections. So I have witnessed some of the challenges that you have dealt with. But like this one, so it says what it is, and then it gives a direction so that your contractor, who maybe doesn't speak English as a first language, or the listing agent, is able to easily understand it. And then here, no verb, just what it is, so that you're very clear. That's the little doohickey there. And then if you want to see it bigger, you see it bigger. So anyway, that's what's here. But what's really neat about this is, and then we're going to get into the even more exciting part, but this part usually, hang on, what the heck? Okay, when you get the report, your picture will be here and the inspector, and then you click on report tools. And here you have 2 options. You can copy and paste everything, or whatever parts you don't want or do want, you can just copy and paste. Or, and this is my favorite, but I'm not a realtor, so I don't know. you go here and you click on the things that you want to have fixed, that you're asking for, whatever it is. And I don't know, let's just go with a couple more things. And then say you wanted to have, you just want money to fix this attic access. So I don't know, how much, Greg?
Nowadays, phew, it was hard to tell. $2,000.
Okay, so 2 grand. And then let's also say you're an electrician, and so we want to get a credit for this because you can just fix this stuff too. So let's say just 2 grand for this one too. What the heck? So then you go back up to the top and you hit, so you see here, it's got the total credit requested and these other things are checked off. So we're going to just go to preview and look at it. And there it is. So you can just attach this to, I mean, obviously the listing agent is getting the entire report anyway, but they don't have to go through it page by page to see these. And then here there's a credit, and then here's a credit requested, and there it all is. And then you can view it as a PDF, you can save it, you can send it and just attach it as see attached when you're doing your PIN. Which I've heard is really fantastic. And when I've seen some other things that people have written, I'm just like, there's so much you have to weed through.
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. So then, along with the great report, for an additional $50 is this. So what happens with this is, and I'm just working right now with the software creator to get it to link to the inspection repair request to Spectora, which is our software, to connect it to the quick fix so that it will go even faster. But what we do is upload the report into my portal, and then in no more than 24 hours, I get this back, which is everything about the house. This is just random. I made up the address and stuff, and just put in a bunch of stuff so that they could change it, create this. But so you just go in and it gives you everything here. So like the exhaust vent isn't going to the outside, it was discharging into the cupboard, or no exhaust vent or something. But and there was something, the garbage disposal wasn't working. And so you're saying, like, all of these here, every one of these things that's here is a quote, not an estimate, but a quote. And so you get the things, you check off the things that you want to do, and you pick whatever you wanted to have done. And maybe there's like 5 GFCI receptacles. And so you check that, or 4 or 5, and you, whatever you want, whatever you're doing here, put it all here and see it's totaling up at the bottom. 1163 is the total down here. And then you just click on Get Repairs. And you can schedule your 3 days that you prefer for getting the work done. So I want it maybe the 16th, 17th, and the 20th. And then contact access here.
So this is something the seller is going to have access to when the report is shared?
It depends on how you want to do it. So you could have this as the buyer's agent so the way, actually, what I'm showing you, I think is best for the seller, that that it's provided to the seller. But the buyer could do this and have access and do this after they move in.
Okay.
So they could move in and decide they want to do these things.
Okay.
And you, working with a buyer, you could look at the list and say, look, none of these are major. These are all things that you can do yourself, and you can kind of see what they're going to cost. And clearly they're living with it like this, whatever. Then you put, so I think for a listing agent, I think it works beautifully, and they can pay at settlement.
Oh,
So you put in, and then you put in your contact information and then review it all. And so it's all there to be used. This is my receipt from when I paid for it, because they gave us a discount for my first like 20
Yeah.
of them. They'll be $50. They are $50 now, and $59 if you do it on your own. But the report is also in here. So there's a chimney inspection report and the home inspection report and a random other thing that's uploaded there. And you can share it with your clients or not. And what the big deal about this is, if the home inspection report does not have, and if there's things you don't want in it, you could ask me to submit it without those things in it. But one of the things that I added to this is, because it's reviewed by AI and then it is done, it's a human reviews it.
okay.
And so one of the things that I have in here is, because the home inspection report says budget to replace this, because the old HVAC, old water heater, old roof, and give you all these maintenance things, and they're all there together. So what I have done is, they have anything that we submit through the Lodestar account excludes anything that says monitor or acquire, upgrade, recommend, budget to replace, verify, fogged windows, what else? That basically, if we don't want there to be the things that a home inspection is not about in here. So I wanted to make sure that it was actually going to be valuable for people and not something that was going to terrify them as they got it, So that is, and then you've got this thing, and then you can share it with anybody, or you can have the work done or not, whatever. But the quote is there, and then if there are questions or if there are variables, then they put that in red so that you can see it.
That's amazing. So I think like this is pretty awesome, and I think it's like really next level stuff. So I'm going to walk through this with you in real time, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm the buyer's agent. We're definitely going to reach out to Lodestar to do the home inspection.
Mhm.
Do the home inspection. Now, some of that I'm somewhat used to, where they kind of pre-pop you pick from the report what items you want to add to, like your PIN, your
Mhm.
property inspection notice. You guys have cleaned up the language and the verbiage quite a bit.
Mhm.
And that auto populates sort of your repair request for your property inspection notice.
Mhm.
And now, where does Wick Fix come in? Like, how? So this, do I have the ability to then share this with the listing agent, so that the seller can maybe proactively take care of some of these things we're asking for, get quotes? We sort of take the guesswork out for them.
Yep.
And you're saying also that we can maybe like hold on to this, and if we want to do the repairs ourselves after the fact.
Correct. You got
So
that.
how so I got the one report from Lodestar, the property
Mhm.
inspection, and it's already populated my repair request for me.
Mhm.
Where does Wick Fix come in?
So Quick Fix is I upload the report
Yeah,
with my engineered prompt in there to leave out the language that is monitor and recommend and budget to replace.
yeah.
I upload it to them, and then, or you do. I haven't figured out the best way, but it's either way. I upload it, and then in no less than 24 hours, you get an email with this in it, so that you can then, and whatever you want to do with it,
When you say you, do you mean the buyer's agent or the buyer?
whoever
As long
decided to do it.
Okay.
Because the way I look at it is, if there's an agent who doesn't have the time or the experience or whatever to actually just call around and get licensed, bonded, insured people who will warranty their work for a year And like, if they don't have the time to do that or don't have the resources yet, because they're relatively new,
Yeah.
this would be a way for them to then go, okay, client, buyer, you
Yeah.
are getting a termite inspection and a home inspection and a repair quote, a quick fix. And this is $50 and you have the buyer pay for it as part of this is part of the home inspection. And I've also had some agents who pay for it themselves because they want it.
Okay.
So,
So this report thing is $50.
mhm,
Awesome.
yep.
And
And
then,
it's $59.99 if you buy it from them separately, like if you
okay,
just go and buy it from them.
got it. So I guess that leads me to my next question. Do we know how the vendors are vetted?
They are vetted through so I've met the person who's in charge of them in our area, and
Okay.
he's a good contractor. And
Okay.
so he basically has vetted everybody. And if you want to think of it like kind of like Uber, where they're the way it works is they offer these to people who have signed up with the quick fix and then had the vetting process all done. Like, you can't be an Uber driver if your car is too old.
Yeah.
Like, so, or you have any negative stuff anywhere about you on the internet. So it's the same with this. What they do is people are interested, and then licensed contractors, electricians, plumbers, and then they will send this out and say, we need someone to come out and do this. And whoever wants the job accepts it at these prices with this time frame, with this deadline.
Okay.
And so, and if they want to stay with the program and
Mm-hmm.
keep getting offered these jobs, then they're good. And
Nice.
if there's anything negative about them, they're gone. But I was a little nervous about how the vetting was done because you're taking responsibility for that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my
So,
question.
yeah. So that's the biggest thing is it's nice because the person who is in charge of all of that is here in Maryland.
Good. Good. Okay. That was
Yeah.
my other question. Make sure it just wasn't some random person, in Iowa who was on the
No,
internet. Like
it's a
doing,
guy named Paul in Glen Burnie.
oh, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So it's a
So it's like,
different, like, it's interesting though.
yeah, so it's like Angie's List, but with a scheduling component to it and all the estimates sort of upfront.
Yes. And
Whatever.
pay at settlement.
Wow. Okay. The pay at settlement thing is wild too. Like that's great.
Yes. So when you go to sign in to do to actually get a new, I don't know if I do it here. I'm inside my thing here. New quick quote. You would go in and you put in the address and then you put in the settlement date
Okay.
so that they know, like, so that there's a clue, and then your email address and who you are.
That's great. Well, I always say like our job in real estate is to be problem solvers. So this allows you to be a problem solver or overcome the objection before it really even happens. That's great. I love it.
Yes, and that's the whole point. And and it's all transparent. It's all here. And if you want more information, you can just ask me and I will connect you with, and I mean, if we wanted to do something that was JPAR wide to see if we could
Okay.
get the price lower or
Yeah.
get it so that it was, I don't know. They're totally open to doing stuff like that. We
Okay.
met with Samson Properties this morning.
Wow. So I might have to have you back for our regional sales meeting. And then so they do all of Maryland. Then I take it.
They do the country,
Okay.
the
There you
whole
go.
country. Yeah.
Wow. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They started
Wow.
on the West Coast, like so much does.
Yes. Yep. It always kind of works its way out this way.
Yes.
That's good. There
Yes.
are fail forward people out there. They get it
Yes.
figured out by the time it gets here.
Yes. So thank you so much for having it. Oh, also, I know you know about this book that each of our clients gets.
Yes,
By the
I
way,
love
that
it.
was just water. That was not a beer bottle or something. But the book that everyone gets, that every buyer gets and the agents get, we have it in Spanish now too.
Oh, that's amazing. Great.
Yeah. So if you,
Um, yeah, we've got 2 agents that are actually talking to Alberto Gomez soon. They're putting together this thing for the Hispanic demographic. We talked about Maria,
Mhm.
but yeah, that will be something I will definitely let them know about. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Awesome. Great. That'd be fantastic. Now, and thank you. If you think of questions, just let me know, but also we can do the regional meeting because there are ways to kind of set things up. I know they've got something with Berkshire Hathaway somewhere that they do have a do a discount or do something. So
Okay.
we'll just let me know and we can connect on that.
I'll put
I
it out to the ownership group of the regional meetings. Jason and Kevin is part of that, so I'll let everybody know.
cool.
Bethesda, Gaithersburg.
Great. Are you,
So Rick, on that, I want to thank you, and for everyone when you're listening to this, and just know that Rachel is probably one of the most informed inspectors out there. There's so many issues that she has this huge bandwidth on knowledge and subjects that she covers. Everything from like what are we calling meth houses now? Breaking Bad.
yeah, yeah. I just taught that right before coming on here.
Oh, that's awesome. So, chimney inspection, she's now doing the structural engineering component of things, but she is an absolutely amazing resource. So we thank you for being a resource to not only our agents, but the industry in general and everything that you do.
Well, thank you very
Very
much.
important. So on the home inspection thing, and you probably don't, I don't mean to be putting you on the spot. Do you guys have any inspectors that speak Spanish
I've been
yet?
trying. No, I've been trying really hard and have
Okay.
not found anybody. And so we're always looking. And
Okay.
people do send me connections and say, hey, see if they're a good fit.
Yeah.
And no one has panned out, not like just they've gotten more into home inspecting and been like, no, I want to do something. This is not fun. I don't like
Cool.
spider webs in my face and
No one wants to go into a crawl space.
no, no, no. And so if you, anybody watching this, if you know somebody who you think would be a great home inspector, then let me know because I would love to have someone who could really support the Spanish speaking community because it's an underserved community that does
Yeah.
not, and a community that has lots of resources financially in
Yeah.
most cases. It just needs someone who can actually figure out the financing if there are different, uh, not money in the bank kind of thing, but mattress money and other things. Then, and also then the home inspection, it's so important for people to know about that. So I'd love to be connected.
I'll keep my eyes and ears out and open. And like I said, we're meeting with Alberto Gomez about that. So it's really powerful, up and coming demographic for all the reasons that you mentioned, as far as at available equity as well. Hispanic, Asian American market is growing
Mhm.
as well. And we'd like to see, obviously, and that'll lead me into, I'm just going to do a quick legislative update.
Awesome.
If you
Can I
feel
stay?
free to, yeah, absolutely,
Thank
100%.
you.
So let everybody know, obviously I'm in a hotel room. I'm here for the NAR, what we used to call mid-years. It's now the Realtor legislative meetings, but I was able to do hill visits for John Sarbanes' office yesterday and Senator Ben Cardin. I feel like we're getting some traction across many different channels. Housing inventory has been we're beating that subject to death because it is the bane of all of our problems, really. Home affordability stems from a lack of inventory and accessibility. Home ownership opportunities is obviously a lot about what we're talking about. We across the country, we're 5.5 million units short. In Maryland, we're about 150,000 units short of what our buyer demographic demands, or what we could consider a balanced market. We haven't seen a balanced market since 2014 in Maryland, so 10 years. There's many things that are concerning, again, all stemming from inventory. We reached an all-time low on the affordability index for housing, which is a statistic that just NAR tracks last year. The median age for first-time home buyers is 35 now, which is going up and up and up. The median millennial age is 33. So the largest home buying demographic in our country is approaching that first-time home buyer age, and it's unfortunate, but we're calling it sort of the American dream deferred, and it's very problematic. I heard some language last week that was very disconcerting. Someone had suggested that homeownership is becoming a luxury in our country, which, if you think about that, it's devastating. So there's so many things that we have to do. I'm going to screen share shortly here about our talking points, but we've had some legislation and tax law that we're supporting and asking for co-sponsors from both houses to jump on board to unlock some of the pent-up inventory that we have. First, I'm going to talk about the VA issue real quick. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and HUD have both signed up onto the fact that the seller concessions would not count toward IPC's interested party contributions, which is sort of the status quo, which is great. And as most of you know, and what we've been fighting really hard for, is to get VA on board for allowing veterans to utilize and pay for, at least now up front, because they're prohibited from paying for buyer's agent commissions, to at least allow them to pay and have advocacy and representation utilizing a VA loan. It would be devastating to think that our veterans returning home, or veterans that are served or prior service or active duty, and they're utilizing a great benefit, the VA home loan, cannot have advocacy, right? And I like to say it was an unintended collateral damage or consequence of the fallout from these antitrust suits and the settlement. So we're working very hard to rectify that. We've circulated a letter from NAR to the Veterans Administration, and we're also circulating a letter to the members of Congress that they can sign on to. An interesting fact is, last year, if you're talking about the two, again, unintended consequences of this, the two demographics that are going to be affected mostly are probably underserved communities, first-time home buyers, and if you're talking about underserved communities and first-time home buyers, and veterans, VA, right? African Americans last year, 23% of African American home loans were VA loans. 33% of African American home loans were FHA. So 56% of home loans for the entire African American buying demographic last year is going to be affected negatively, potentially, by what's happening with these lawsuits. And certainly 10% overall VA loans were utilized for overall purchases last year. So again, that's a big number as well. But our underserved communities are going to be hit doubly hard with the things that are going on. So we're working very hard to rectify sort of that injustice that's coming out of all this. And I think we're going to get movement on that. I know NAR has been in constant communication with the Veterans Administration in Richmond, and after the two legislative offices that I spoke with are 100% on board with it, and I can't imagine. All the feedback I got from everyone else that did Hill visits were very, it seemed unanimous that all the members of Congress were like, what? How can that be? So we should be getting some traction on that very shortly.
Good.
Yeah. I would imagine we're going to have an answer to that sooner rather than later. And we did, if no one's aware, and we did get a firm date that we are going to go. If this could move, it could be a moving target, but I'm pretty sure August 17th is when the class injunctive sort of relief fallout from the settlement, when we're going to have practices in play. It'll probably be a while before everything's finalized, but it looks like August 17th is when all the new processes will be in motion, aka no more commissions on the multiple list service. So we've talked about sort of this ad nauseum. You build your value proposition within your buyer agency consultation, your buyer agency agreement. We know the things that have to come out of that, the things that have to be in place with your buyer agency agreement. You're seeing some things out there, maybe from Zillow, about this touring agreement. It's very clear in Maryland. Maryland was the first state to have buyer agency in place. We were one of 17 states to have buyer agency in place before all the craziness of these lawsuits. We continue to lead the way on that. Not much is going to have to change with our standards of practice per se. We just have to make sure that we're all on board with our standards of practice and professionalism and how we're talking to the consumer. But we'll continue from Maryland Realtor standpoint. The form sets will be updated. We'll kind of continue to lead that charge. Sort of lost my train of thought on that moment, but again, August 17th.
Touring, you were also at the touring
Thank you very
thing.
much. Yeah,
Mhm.
touring. So make no mistake about it. It's always been our policy. It's going to be our policy moving forward. It is a statute, the broker code statute in Maryland. You need a buyer agency in place in order to represent a buyer. So you have to have a fiduciary relationship with a buyer to even show a home, basically moving forward. There's really not going to be any sub-agency in place because we're not sharing that whole ability to represent what sub-agency would have been anyway. It's always been our practice. If you're going to work with a client, which means open a door, show a home, even if you're going to go in and take video of a home to show for a client, you have to have a buyer agency agreement in place. The Zillow touring agreements would not meet Maryland law. And again, we're going to continue to lead how things should be done in a representative standpoint. So buyer agency agreement, nothing's really changed. We need to have it in place, and you have to have your compensation in place within that buyer's agency agreement. So I'm going to quickly share just the talking points. Flyin.realtor, FLYIN.realtor is a phenomenal resource if you guys want all the information on the NAR legislative priorities. This is what it will pull up, but it'll give you the priority issues one-pager, the breakdown on the talking points, everything that we have presented and talked to all the legislators about this week. So see if I can pull up the one-pager real quick, and I'll give everyone a quick synopsis of some of the things that we were talking about. The co-sponsor the More Homes on the Market Act. Basically what this is doing is asking to increase the capital gains exclusion for individuals and married couples. There's been no increase in the capital gains exclusion to adjust for inflation in quite a long time. $250,000 for an individual, $500,000 for a married couple. But we think if we can increase the that capital gains portion that is being waived, will be able to unlock some pent-up inventory from that perspective. The Neighbor Homes Investment Act, this was sponsored by Senator Ben Cardin. It's got a number of, and all these bills are actually bipartisan in nature. So we have co-sponsors from both parties. And of course, from a realtor party standpoint, that's why you see everything is always usually in purple, because it's bipartisan support for legislation or issues that protect real property rights and home ownership opportunities. So that's why you see those colors, and it's all soft money on any kind of campaign contribution. It's we support issues, not necessarily politicians, and issues that affect homeownership, accessibility, and opportunities. So the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act will hopefully have an impact on some neighborhoods in Baltimore, especially Baltimore City, that have kind of been abandoned, and will give tax incentives to some development in those areas. We've also done some work in legislation to help protect the entrepreneurial space for realtors to work in. We've made sure that the independent contractor status remains in place. There are a lot of tax policies that will sunset at the end of 2025, so that we want to make sure that those benefits don't go away. It was important for us to incentivize homeownership. The SALT deduction, if you are familiar with that, it definitely impacts individuals living in Maryland, and really there's a marriage penalty to that. So if you're married, you only get the $10,000 cap, and if you had joint ownership and there were two of you that owned a property, then each would get $10,000. So it doesn't make sense that there's sort of a marriage penalty in for the SALT deduction. So we're asking for that marriage penalty to be removed as well. We have asked for co-sponsorships on the Fair and Equal Housing Act to add sexual orientation and gender identity as a protected class under the Fair Housing Act. So just know that we've been working hard on some of those tax relief solutions that will, in effect, help address the inventory issue, which is, the simple supply and demand economics, which is making the housing unaffordable and really affecting the housing affordability stats. So that's sort of a recap on that, but flyin.realtor gives you a lot more in-depth detail on, and it gives you a breakdown of the talking points on the particular legislation that we are sponsoring here today. And just know that we've been working pretty hard from a local, statewide, and now national perspective to eliminate some of these barriers to inventory, which is creating this massive problem. I met with a young man at our office last week who was a firefighter, and he can't really even afford, a full-time firefighter out of Odenton can't afford to rent a home in our area, let alone purchase a home. But if you think about it, one, maybe two generations ago, a full-time firefighter could easily have purchased a single-family home in our area and started a family. And that's the unfortunate part about what we're talking about, is like the American dream deferred and home ownership becoming a luxury. It's unacceptable.
It is it's so horrible. And one of my inspectors is a full-time volunteer firefighter in Odenton. And he lives he shares a house with people. Like he has housemates, and he's a little bit younger than I am, but he's working all the time. He's full-time.
Yeah.
It's not something he can do on his own. And we don't let our inspectors do more than 2 inspections on a day unless there's some really weird circumstance, because we want them to have high quality of life.
Okay.
And we don't want them to so we pay them a good amount of money to be able to only do 2 inspections and still live. But houses are just crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm preaching to the choir, but I wanted to say just the amount of work that is done by NAR locally, statewide, and then at the national level is incredible. And it blows my mind when people ask, why would I donate to RPAC? Which it makes no sense. Like, without RPAC, none of us has a job.
Yeah.
Let alone a career.
Yeah, I get very frustrated when agents bemoan sort of some that, look, I'm not the greatest NAR fan on everything that's happened in the past couple of years from a cultural standpoint and what's happened, but you can't discount the amazing work that NAR does from an advocacy standpoint. NAR was instrumental in creating the Veterans VA loan. NAR has come a long way in providing accessibility and homeownership opportunities to underserved communities. It's amazing the amount of work, like you said, that goes into the advocacy portion of this. They just announced they were restarting the real estate caucus in Congress. So we have some members of Congress that will be champions of our causes from a caucus perspective, which we're very excited about. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, this year alone, on a local, statewide level, we were able to shoot down the service tax that they were trying to push through, which would have been like a double tax for your real estate commissions as a realtor. But a lot of that work I feel like sometimes doesn't go as appreciated as it should be, to your point, that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of realtors who are volunteering their time to these issues. And again, I've said it before, but there's no greater advocate for real property rights and homeownership opportunities than realtors. So we just need to tell our stories more.
That is really powerful.
Yeah.
and it just that was just very powerful. The way you just created that. And it always just takes me back to 2020 when Pennsylvania shut down and realtors couldn't work.
I'm so glad that you said that. I was talking to some realtors from North Carolina, and there was some other associations where they were shut out and locked out of business. And we fought hard on it from a Maryland Realtor standpoint. We had an advocate in the governor's office at the time, but Maryland Realtors was able to make sure that Maryland realtors were deemed essential, and we were able to continue to do our work and help people with their shelter needs during that time. So if it wasn't for that, it would be a different landscape for realtors.
And home inspectors. And when you consider like all the people who they had home inspections during that period, and then they stopped having home inspections for like 2 years. And it's, oh my gosh, but the whole, like, it's a whole ecosystem that you as realtors actually support. And I know you know that because like Jonathan, who was just here, and title companies and lenders, but you might not, and stagers, all the people, you might not think of it that way, that NAR is actually doing that. And something you said made me think that not donating, what is it? Contributing? What's contributing?
Investing.
It's investing. It's not contributing, it's investing. So, but investing in RPAC is like a home warranty for your career.
Yeah, it really is. Because, not only are we sort of protecting the consumer, and we talk about like the real property rights and homeownership opportunities, but we work hard to protect that entrepreneurial space in which realtors work, right? Protecting the industry. So yeah, it is like a home warranty for your career. I like that a lot.
It was just, as you were saying it was just like, there's nothing you can do to cover everything, but at least you can. And I don't agree with a lot of the stuff. And NAR has a bad history from from a civil rights perspective and the whole thing. And it's what we've got, and they're doing a lot now.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I'm,
And it's a membership organization, right? So it's one of those things. It's like if you don't like the way the government's going, get out there and vote, advocate, be a part of the process, not be a part of the solution, and not just contributing to the noise. Be a part of the solution.
Yes, that's beautiful. Yeah, thanks for letting me stay on so I could hear all your stuff, because that's so important.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you as always, and we're going to make sure that we share Rachel's information, Lodestar, and anything that you want me to share with the new program, Quick Fix. I think it's amazing, and I really look forward to trying it out myself.
Thank you. I sent it over to you, so you
Awesome.
I emailed it to you, so you can share that. You can play with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I certainly will. Well, always appreciate you and your time, Rachel.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Alrighty. All right, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.